Generosity doesn't ask for thanks. It just hopes to make the world a little better. Helen Munro was a retired teacher. She'd spent 40 years in the same classroom, chalk on her hands, laughter in her heart. After her husband passed, she lived alone in a quiet house filled with books, memories, and small acts of kindness. She donated to the church pantry, knitted blankets for the shelter, and sent letters to former students now scattered across the country. So when she received a call one morning from a man claiming to represent the Veterans Relief Foundation, she listened closely. His voice was calm, respectful. "Mrs. Munro," he said, "we're helping veterans who can't afford heating this winter. Even a small contribution could keep a home warm." Her heart melted. Her late husband, James, had been a veteran himself. She knew that struggle. "Of course," she replied softly. "How much can I send?" He thanked her with practiced warmth. Within a week, she'd mailed a check for $5,000, most of her savings. Days passed. She felt good, proud even. Until one morning, a headline caught her eye. "Veterans scammed by fake charities." Her chest tightened. She grabbed her phone and reread the receipt she'd received. No address, no official seal, just a name, Tom Weller, and a P.O. box number. She whispered, "No, it can't be." For the next 2 days, she barely slept. The thought gnawed at her. What if her generosity had been stolen? Finally, she called the local newspaper. "I think I've been scammed," she told the receptionist. I need to know if it's real." They transferred her to a young reporter named Emily Carter. "I can meet you tomorrow, Mrs. Munro," Emily said gently, "and we'll figure this out together." For the first time in a week, Helen felt a flicker of hope. When Emily arrived the next morning, she looked barely 30, a notepad in one hand, coffee in the other. She listened carefully as Helen showed her the documents, the letter, the check receipt. Emily frowned. "These look official, but something's off. Real charities are registered. This one's not on the list." Helen sighed. "I feel so foolish. All those years teaching children to think before they act, and here I am, fooled by a phone call." Emily smiled kindly. "You weren't foolish, Mrs. Munro. You were kind, and that's exactly what people like him take advantage of." She promised to investigate. That night, Helen sat by the window, watching the wind move the trees, her old clock ticking softly in the background. She whispered to her husband's photo, "If this man lied about helping veterans, I'll make sure the truth is known." To be continued. Days turned into a week. Then one morning, Emily called. "Mrs. Munro, I found something. The Veterans Relief Foundation has no charity license, but its bank account traces back to our town." Helen's heart skipped. "Here? But who?" Emily hesitated. "The account belongs to someone named Tom Weller." Helen froze. "That name? He's on the city council." Her hands began to shake. Tom Weller, the same man who organized fundraisers, who spoke at every veteran's memorial, a man everyone respected. Emily's voice softened. "I need proof before I can publish anything. Will you help me?" Helen nodded. "If it means saving others from losing what I did, yes." They arranged a meeting. Emily pretended to be a potential donor, while Helen quietly listened from a nearby cafe table. Tom arrived, smiling that same polished smile. "Always good to see folks supporting our heroes," he said smoothly. Emily slid an envelope across the table. "And where exactly does this money go, Mr. Weller?" He hesitated. Straight to the veterans, of course. Funny, she said, tapping her recorder, because the Veterans Office has no record of your foundation. His face drained of color. You can't prove anything, he snapped, standing up, voice trembling. Maybe not yet, Emily replied, but your bank will. 2 weeks later, headlines filled the local papers. Councilman arrested in charity fraud investigation. Helen sat at her kitchen table, the morning light spilling across the newspaper, a quiet smile forming on her face. Justice had come quietly, not with applause, but with truth. When Emily stopped by later that day, Helen hugged her tightly. You didn't just expose a liar, she said. You restored my faith in people. Emily smiled. You did the brave part, Mrs. Monroe. You spoke up, Helen nodded slowly. Maybe honesty doesn't need applause. It just needs courage. Moral. Even small voices can expose big lies. Truth doesn't shout. It stands its ground. And sometimes, courage starts with one person refusing to stay silent. Thank you for listening to The Charity Lie. Have you ever trusted someone, only to discover they weren't who they seemed? Share your story in the comments. Your words might give others strength to speak up too. Subscribe for more emotional, real-life stories about honesty, courage, and the quiet victories that change lives. Until next time, stay kind, stay brave, and never stop seeking the truth.